So here we have the best kind of conversations to have with somebody that leads to consent, and making sure that when people have sex that they are feeling comfortable and they're 100% excited, and you know, no coercion is actually happening.
That's a liberal, rich feminist at Simon Fraser University with her consent toolbox, a consent questionnaire that when you're about to have sex on campus, when you're half undressed in your dorm room with a guy, you take this out and you fill out a legally binding form. This is not a consent toolbox. This is a modern version of Spin the Bottle. And joining me now to talk about it is my friend Barbara Kay of the National Post. Barbara, great to see you again. I think we obviously have to condemn rape in the strongest of terms. Frankly, I'd like to bring back capital punishment for it. But these jokey, giggly girls, and I call them girls because I think they follow that TV show Girls as their role model in life. I think they just love having sex and want to have sex as much as they can, but don't want to admit that. So they say, well, no, but I have all these rules. You see, I'm a feminist and I've got these checklists and consent forms, so I'm actually quite liberated and quite in control.
Well, I mean, your analysis might be right. I don't know what their motivation is, but I do know that it's such a dumb idea that I thought at first it came out of The Onion, you know, or one of those parody shows. You can't make this stuff up. It's like Saturday Night Live. Any guy that would want to have sex after having signed, to have to sign a consent form, I think is very foolish. They should back away and say, you know what, if I have to do that to have sex with you, I think I'm the wrong guy for you. You know, find some other fall guy for this joke. This is not what sex is about. You trust someone or you don't. If you trust them, you don't need that consent form. And if you don't trust them, you shouldn't be having sex with them. You know, go ahead.
A few weeks ago, we had these consent underwear, panties, that had similar messages. So you are literally naked or down to your panties in your dorm, and you have a little consent message on your underwear. That is feminists pretending to say, no, no. In a real rape crisis shelter, they wouldn't have these stupid games because they know what real rape is like. And it's not right when you're naked and you're just wearing panties and you say to your boyfriend, read this here before. I mean, these are girls who are mocking what rape really looks like.
I agree. I think they're making a mockery of real rape. They've dumbed down the word so much that it has nothing to do with what rape originally meant and should mean. And I feel very bad for women who have undergone the real thing because these girls are playing, and they're playing with a concept that is a very serious one. They're making something very foolish out of it, and they're also implying that every single guy is a potential rapist, and that every sexual encounter could turn into rape at any moment. This is not the case. It's extremely rare. Most of the rape culture that we're hearing so much about is really about hookup culture and binge drinking culture, and I find it very undignified.
It's not just that. It's not just that it's that they're treating every man as a possible rapist. Yes, they're doing that, but they're also doing the opposite. They're pretending that if you have some goofy little kit, that'll stop a real rapist. Let me show you what this stupid little kit looks like. It's actually, like you say, a sex toy, you know, drunk culture, hookup culture. This is what it looks like. It's a little package. It contains one condom, lubricant, and then, quote, a form to fill out. Let me read that form. It's a little bit small on the screen here. It's like those old Mad Libs where you would fill in the blank to get a laugh. So it says, let's go back to circle one, my place or your place. I want to fill in a verb, your blank, fill in a body part with my blank noun. So it's a sex game, and then you either circle yeah, hot, or no thanks, or this is my favorite, maybe later I'm with someone else tonight. Just as you say, this is hookup culture. I call it slut culture, and I don't use that word as an insult. That's their phrase, the slut walk. They're proud of being sluts, but to pretend it's something feminist, they come up with stupid ideas like this.
Yeah, you know, it's really sad. I think this whole rape culture thing is about women thinking that they wanted to be, to have the same kind of promiscuous behavioral traits as men and enjoy themselves and have no fallout from it. I think they're finding it's a very unsatisfying expression of their sexuality, and they're kind of shifting the blame to society, to men, to other people, when really it's their own behavior that is at fault, partially, and blurring the lines, sending mixed messages. It's not at all unusual that behavior gets out of hand on both sides. And by the way, when people are drunk, it's very often women pushing men to have sex. Sometimes they don't want to consent, but they feel, they have to under the circumstances. We have a very blurred line culture here, and I think both sexes have to take responsibility for their behavior, and getting so drunk you don't remember what happened should not be in the same equation with the kind of rape that that you see women at rape crisis centers having endured.
The sexual revolution and the words women's lib are often blurred as if the pill and the condom and abortion freed women. In one sense they did, I suppose, because having a child was not necessarily the consequence of having sex. But I think it also freed men from self-control and discipline. And I think what you see here is the logical end to that, where women are giddy about being promiscuous. Not tonight. I'm with someone else. I'm half naked with you, but I'm going to go hook up with him. I'll see you again tonight. Like when women are at the point where this slut culture, again, their phrase is something that they celebrate. Sorry, is that women's lib? Is that liberating women, having them as sexually promiscuous as men? Now, I am not anti-sex, Barbara. I'm here because of an act of sex my parents had many years ago, and I myself have managed to father several children. I'm not anti-sex. I'm just saying, when you have girls, giddy girls, celebrating and marketing just how slutty they are, I do not regard that as women's liberation at all.
No, it's not liberating to anybody. And by the way, equating promiscuity with all male behavior, I don't believe that all men are promiscuous, just as I don't believe that all men would be aggressive to the point where they're forcing themselves on women. I don't think that's true. That's a very small minority of men. And I think you are absolutely right. It has not been liberating because sex is a very volatile, kind of behavior that we have, and we need civilized restraints in order for it to be dignified and in order for it to be safe for both parties. And when you start, blurring the lines of what is acceptable and what isn't, I think you're opening a Pandora's box. We have seen now that it is not bringing satisfaction to women. It's bringing great unease and great unhappiness, and they have lost what they value most in sex, which is a sense of intimacy and trust. Yeah. They're losing that, and they're not happy about that.
Isn't that true? There's nothing less intimate and less trustworthy and trustful than what was in this little kit. Great to see you, Barbara. Thanks for your frank talk.
Oh, thanks for having me.